Hello and welcome, friends, to episode 32 of my show, Interesting Facts, Figures, and Quotes. And here we go. 1. Over 60 lakh applications are filed every year asking for information under the RTI Act, Right to Information. 2. The law in India allows a woman to undergo abortion only till 20 weeks of pregnancy. But despite this law, 13 women die every day due to unsafe abortions carried out illegally. 3. Before 1971, abortion was a crime in India. 4. In India, 26 million women are pregnant at any given time. Most of them are dependent on the healthcare facilities provided by the state. Five, in order to avoid complex situations, doctors in the UK and even other Western European countries carry out a medical procedure that stops the beating heart before the abortion is induced. Indian doctors do the same procedure but before 20 weeks. Abortions are indeed a sad reality of our lives. 6. What led to the removal of former Prime Minister Theresa May was her inability to negotiate an acceptable Brexit. She conveyed the impression that she would be happy with an emasculated Brexit, a situation that put the UK outside the European Union, but subject to control by Brussels. Boris has been chosen to be the Prime Minister for his commitment to take the UK out of the EU through a negotiated deal, if possible, or even unilaterally. He has given himself 100 days to accomplish his mission. 7. Kamrup is the old name of Assam. 8. Under the new Digi Yatra program, airports at Hyderabad and soon Delhi have introduced a trial facial recognition system for passengers. Digi Yatra cheerfully invites people to volunteer their faces to be entered into a centralized government database. 9. An argument which has gained currency is that the economic motive for Bangladeshis to cross the border into India began to decline with an improvement in economic conditions back home. Data from 8 years ago lends credence to this logic. Bangladesh has economically performed better since census 2011. It has grown at over 7% over the last few years. IMF estimates that it's likely to grow faster than India in 2019-20 at over 7.5%. Before the British arrived in India, stitched cholis and jackets were worn by the kings and the warriors and not primarily by women. Saris were functional garments that aided the work of the wearer. The drapes depended on the climatic, geographic, and culture of the group. Indian tribals wore their saris like a halter dress, hands-free, short, and backless, where those living in the coastal areas wore them as shorts or pants, says Nikita, a sari researcher and founder of the Indian Draping Company, on the past and future of the 6 yards. 11. One big problem for India was that railways was not talking to roadways. and roadways was not talking to environment. Every department was working in the abstract and in isolation. But this, I guess, is now beginning to change. 12. China shared in the world exports as recently as 2000 was only 4%, and see where China is today. 13. There are enough history books to note that India's invaders were often more advanced than their local counterparts in warfare and administration. 14. There are 2.22 lakh fishing boats in India, according to a 2016 report. Out of India's 227 minor ports, 180 have minimal security, with 75 having no security at all. Fifteen, coal-fired plants account for roughly 90% of the total productive capacities within the thermal power space of India. 16. Patriotism is the exact opposite of nationalism. It is a betrayal of nationalism, said French President Macron. 17. Nationally, India generates a staggering 38,000 million liters a day MLD of sewage, where existing treatment capacity can only treat 12,000 MLD, and that too, this facility is available only in the metropolitan cities. 18. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea, said French writer Saint Exupéry. 19. If the Lok Sabha passes a money bill, the Raj Sabha cannot stop it. It can only delay it by 15 days. '20. World War I was not a war in which India was directly involved, yet our soldiers fought in it for the cause of peace. More than 74,000 Indian soldiers died fighting on the other side of the world. 21. Sometimes the scandal is not what law was broken, but what the law allows, says Edward Snowden, American whistleblower. 22. Try not to think of life as a battle, because if you regard life as a struggle, it will become one and you will have little joy. It is far better to think of life as a journey in which the difficulties are hills to climb, says Richard E. Turner, American expert card mechanic who is known for his card tricks performances. 23. INS Arihant is India's first indigenously built nuclear ballistic missile submarine. 24. Air pollution kills over 1 million Indians every year. Skeptics say air pollution is never mentioned as a cause of death on death certificates. 25. Today, Google and Facebook dominate India's digital advertising industry, cornering nearly 75% of the market. Google's move to block intrusive ads is an example of how it dictates terms to Indian content producers. Rather than becoming a digital colony of American tech companies, the focus should now be on enabling Indian startups to compete with global giants. So friends, that's all I have for today. Goodbye and see you soon.